Here at steamit.com is a story by Tuck the Man, or Tuck Feeman, entitled Are Chemtrails Real? CIA Director John O'Brien seems to think so. Chemtrails are a favorite topic for conspiracy theorists, but are they real? Many names have been given to the practice of spraying the skies with aerosols. Here are a few of the more popular terms used by conspiracy theorists: chemtrails, geoengineering, solar radiation management, stratospheric aerosol injection, and climate disruption. On June 29, 2016, the CIA agency director John O'Brien joined the ranks of conspiracy theorists when he gave a presentation in front of the Council of Foreign Relations. In his presentation, he discussed geoengineering, or stratospheric aerosol injection, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can reflect the sun's heat, in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. Alien Guru, thank you for the super chat. Alien Guru says, thanks for all you do. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Alien Guru. Thank you so much for the super chat. It really helps. In his talk, Brennan admits that stratospheric aerosol injection can alter weather patterns in certain regions of the world at the expense of other regions. Reporter James Corbett picked up on the latest government admission of chemtrails' existence and use in his interview with Peter Kirby, whose book is entitled Chemtrails Exposed, A New Manhattan Project. The original Manhattan Project, of course, being the atomic bomb. This is not the first admission of the existence and use of chemtrails. In 2013, the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory and its chief systems engineer, Riley Duran, gave a lengthy presentation on geoengineering. In his discussion, he covered concepts for directly and deliberately manipulating Earth's climate, collectively referred to as geoengineering, which has been proposed as contingency responses to global warming, which is not supposed to exist, right? This talk will cover the motivations and risks of geoengineering and what can be done to support informed decision-making. Few respected journalists will touch the topic. But in 2013, Business Insider writer Kyle Russell did just that in his article, The CIA Wants to Control the Weather Through Geoengineering. In his article, he indicated the technique has already been attempted. But if you live in the United States, you've probably seen chemtrails being undertaken on a very large scale. If not, you've likely seen the images online. The author says, here are some I've taken from above my own house. The images were taken over a few hours. What started as a beautiful sky ended in a hazy horror, almost blocking the sun. Here are those pictures. There's the hazy horror at the end. That is pretty hazy. Another journalist, Bob Yerka, wrote in an article in 2013 entitled CIA Co-Sponsoring Geoengineering Study to look at reversing global warming. But the history of the government's admissions goes back even further. In 2008, the document was published, Unilateral Geoengineering. In this document, it is stated there are a variety of strategies, such as injecting light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere, that might be used to modify the Earth's atmosphere-ocean system to slow or reverse global warming and send us right into an ice age. Won't that be delicious? So it's become quite obvious, the author continues, to those who are willing to pay attention, that geoengineering or chemtrails or whatever you want to call it is quite real. But just how far back does the technology go? For that, we need to investigate the patents dating back to the 1920s. Over 100 years ago. Thank you, Chili Bean, for the super chat. Blessings upon Chili Bean and his mother. Thank you, Chili. Just to give you a glimpse of how real the technology is, the author says, I have included a rather extensive list below with links to other credible resources. Now we need to get to the bottom of the purpose of the chemtrails. Currently, climate change is being given as the reason for their widespread use. But if you call NASA, they may tell you a different story about using chemtrails to test wind patterns at different levels. And online bloggers and vloggers will give you an entirely different view of their true purpose. What we do know for sure is that chemtrails are real. I want to jump to this article at mintpressnews.com entitled No Longer Conspiracy. CIA admits plans of aerosol spraying for geoengineering. CIA Director John Brennan leaves after his news conference at CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. Last week, the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, begins the author, John O'Brennan, addressed instability and transnational threats to global security at a meeting with the Council on Foreign Relations. During his long-winded talk of threats to U.S. interests and how the largely CIA-created ISIL threat is impacting the world. ISIL equals ISIS. Brennan brought up the topic of chemtrails. Thank you, Johnny Pepperson, for the super chat. Johnny says, why don't they use invisible chemicals for chemtrails? Good question. I can only assume that there's lots of liquids involved in transporting them. It has to be like a transport medium, right? Maybe it's the transport medium itself which is making the trails. Just a guess. During Brennan's long-winded talk of threats to U.S. interests, he said another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering. Takahama Olsen 2 with a super chat. TO2 says, my late stepmother-in-law passed away, so a very sad time for us. May God rest her soul. So sorry to hear that, Takahama Olsen 2. May God rest her soul. TO2's late stepmother-in-law. Brennan went on to echo the calls from some scientists who have called for aerial spraying. Such a program could limit global temperature increases, he claimed, reducing risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels, as if that's happening any time soon, with every politician in the U.S. being bought and sold by the oil companies.